Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and welcome to yet another Euro 2020 themed video. Probably the last of them, I'm not gonna lie, because it's time to reflect. Take a look in the mirror. I don't know why I'm looking in the mirror, because I would not be in this team that I'm about to talk about. But we are deciding the UEFA Euro 2020 being contested in 2021 official FNG certified team of the tournament. What I'll do is go through all the contenders for all the slots across the pitch. I'm going to go for a 4-3-3 formation because I'm not a dickhead and I'm not Sean Dyche. I'd just like to clarify he's not a dickhead because he will beat me up. And then at the end, once I've gone through all the players, I'll give you the actual starting 11. But if you go on to enjoy the video, slap a like on it and subscribe if you are new to the channel. We might as well get straight on with this, and let's start with the shot stoppers. Martin Dubravka. Gianluigi Donnarumma, I think, is a very strong contender for this. Ultimately, he had a massive part to play in Italy winning the tournament. Not necessarily with big saves during games. We did make a big one from Dani Olmo in the semi-final, but more to do with the penalty shootouts. I mean, he saved 2 pens in both the shootouts in the semis and the actual final against England. All of that whilst negotiating a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain. The man's deciding clean sheet bonuses stood in between the sticks. Now, Jordan Pickford won the Golden Glove for the competition about 3 weeks before it even started. France weren't even on the plane home by the time he was being given that award. The man's conceded 2 goals all tournament and made some pretty crucial saves in games, especially in the groups against Croatia and Scotland. And like Gianluigi Donnarumma, he saved penalties in that final shootout as well. Jan Sommer is maybe somewhat of an outsider for Switzerland, but did technically make the most saves in the entire competition with a tally of 21. He was unbelievable against France and Spain. 20 of the saves probably came in those 2 games alone. And not only that, but he made penalty saves in both the shootouts against those sides. Unfortunately, against Spain, he was let down by his teammates.
Have it.
And honourable mentions as well to Kasper Schmeichel, who was brilliant against England in the semi-final, and Lukas Radetzky of Finland as well, who obviously went out in the group stages but was still very impressive in all of the games. On to right back. Now, there's not a huge amount really of contenders. Vladimir Soufal of the Czech Republic is someone that I would give a solid shout to. Not only did he grab himself 2 assists in the tournament, but he ranks very highly when it comes to defensive stats like tackles percentage and also interceptions made, tackling percentage. English, do you speak it? One just as close to home, I suppose, when it comes to a Premier League footballer is Kyle Walker, though, of England. Started off slow. I thought he was very, like, literally our worst player against Croatia, but grew into the tournament really from there. Was impressive at right back, but also on the right side of a defensive 3. His cover against Germany and against Denmark was incredible, but it's not just about pace and inshallah. His intelligence and reading of the game is genuinely world class, second to none, and that's what puts him in those positions to be able to cover for his teammates. And the final honourable mention here is probably Di Lorenzo from Italy, the more defensive of the fullbacks when it comes to that Italian back line, but was very instrumental. Spinazzola was able to move forward when he wasn't injured, in the knowledge that Di Lorenzo was sweeping up and doing the defensive work on the other side. On to the other side, fullbacks wise, and I mentioned him there, Spinazzola of Italy, who I feel so bad for. I can't believe he's going to be out for like a year with an Achilles injury. 12 months, a year. He was genuinely a contender for player of the tournament for me. The way he bombed forward down that left-hand side, cut in as an inverted wing-back and moved onto his right foot, it just spun the opposition fullbacks and penned them back so much. It was integral to the way Italy played, and they did well, to be honest with you, to still win the tournament without him. And in a similar vein, Joachim, I think that's how you pronounce his first name, but Myler from Denmark, who traditionally is a right-back as well, or a right-sided player, but has been deployed on the left-hand side for international duty, much like Spinazzola. The youngster from Atalanta, I mean, what a pick-up for them, because he was playing for Genk in Belgium before. He is a baller, and he's so young as well. He's a brilliant ball carrier and dribbler. 12 successful dribbles in the tournament is the 3rd best of anybody. And on top of that, 2 goals in the tournament too. But he's not bad defensively as well. Like, he's a really good all-rounder. Really watch out for him in coming years. And the first of the natural left-backs here in this list is probably Luke Shaw of England, who I'm sure you're probably surprised I haven't talked about yet. But what a tournament Luke has had. Really blew up, I think, as he he arrived out of the group stages. Stepped it up in that game against Germany in the round of 16. I mean, we don't win the game if it's not for him. Gets the assist for the first goal, wins the ball back, and then plays it to Grealish, who gets the assist for the second goal. Integral to both of them, and then scored in the final against Italy. I mean, he's a cult hero for just doing that anyway. Honourable mention, Robin Gosens, for putting Nelson Semedo in a 4-pack of dark fruits. Onto the centre-backs though now, and there's, for me, only one place to start. Harry Maguire, who since coming back from his injury and replacing Tyrone Mings in the side, has literally broken records at this tournament. 21 out of 25 aerial duels won is the most ever, the greatest ever aerial duel percentage of any player ever in the Euros. He obviously got himself a goal through one of them against the Ukraine, and the knowledge for any striker that you are not beating this man in the air is a massive psychological advantage. And not only that, but he only conceded 2 goals in the whole tournament. That is mental. Himself and John Stones should be proud, because that is a ridiculous record at the highest level of international play. And speaking of combinations, we go over to Italy. We'll start with Leonardo Bonucci, who obviously scored the equalising goal in the final. What a tournament he's had. 3rd best for interceptions in the whole competition, plus 14 clearances as well. I mean, that Italian back two was so solid. And I alluded to it, Giorgio Chiellini obviously deserves a shout here as well. In the words of a Jurgen Klopp, he's a mentality monster.
We was calm also at the end of the first half. We talk all together and said, play. We find the right pass, we find the right shoot, and we have to control the game. This is the way to win.
I think a shout as well has to go to Simon Kjaer, who was obviously very unlucky with the own goal against England, but other than that had a superb tournament, again, especially after what happened with his teammate and friend Christian Eriksen. Moving on to midfield, and we have got a lot of potential candidates now. And once again, we return to Italy for Jorginho, a man who is somehow being tipped for the Ballon d'Or, and I understand why. He's won the Champions League and the Euros in the same season. He covered the most distance of anybody in the tournament, and nobody comes near him for ball recoveries. He was undoubtedly a key part of Italy winning that entire tournament and their midfield balance alongside Verratti and Barella. Again, I don't think he's the greatest of players, but you can't doubt that he's had a brilliant few months. And alongside him, Marco Verratti, who for me was one of the standout performers, maybe under the radar at the whole Euros. 18 tackles is the most of anybody at the tournament by quite some distance, and he put in good numbers for interceptions as well. I've spoken about distance covered, and you can't really discount Calvin Phillips when we're talking about that. The Leeds midfielder, my goodness me. As a box-to-box midfielder, I think he's worked beautifully, but he also has a great passing range. And I stumbled upon a video that showed he had an afro when he was like 17. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. Next up, Spanish phenomenon, Pedri. Once again, another surprise element here, much like Calvin Phillips. The 18-year-old has, I mean, the guy has, the kid even.
A child. No.
He had a 100% pass accuracy in 90 minutes against Italy, of course, the eventual winners of the competition. And as a midfielder, that's mental. You're not just playing sideways passes along a back line like centre-backs sometimes do. You're playing balls in behind, potentially risky ones, balls over the top. As well as that, he covered the 3rd most distance in kilometres throughout the whole tournament. This after playing like 60 games across the whole season. Pierre Højbjerg, I think, is a dark horse here as well. I think he actually made it into the official team of the tournament. I don't understand why this guy doesn't get the respect that he should do. I think he's a phenomenal defensive midfielder, but someone with actual great vision as well, like Calvin Phillips almost. People really underestimate how good he is actually moving forward as well. 3 assists is like joint second of the whole tournament. And then Emil Forsberg of Sweden, who people are not talking about enough. 4 goals for a guy that went out in the round of 16 is mental. He hit the woodwork, I think, 3 times against Ukraine. He almost single-handedly took them through to the quarterfinals in that game. Honourable mentions, I think Kevin De Bruyne has to get one. I think he created the most big chances of anybody in the entire tournament. And though he may have ghosted in the game in which Belgium went out, he was suffering from injury at the time, so we kind of have to let him off. He came on against Denmark and completely changed the game. France underperformed, but Paul Pogba was a pretty standout member, especially of their midfield. Gini Wijnaldum, I think, is another player that pretty much did all that he could have done in this tournament. He obviously went out to the Czech Republic after going down to 10 men, which is out of his control. Scored 3 goals and was mesmeric in the group stages. And then Granit Xhaka as well, pulling out an unbelievable world-class performance out of his arse against the world champions. On to the wingers though now, and for me, there's only one place to start, and that's with Raheem Sterling. And boy, listen, I may have grilled him just a tiny bit before the competition started. But what a tournament he has had. I mean, there was a point where he was our only goal scorer, but the goals that he scored were imperative ones as well. The winner against Croatia, the winner against the Czech Republic, the first goal against Germany, they were all massive goals within the tournament for England. His decision-making has always been a bit of a negative for me about his game, but he terrorized Denmark. I know it was a controversial potential dive for the penalty. If you move that away, even without that, he was the best player on the pitch in that game. And his 20 successful dribbles is in a league of his own. Only Frankie de Jong is within 8 of him. Lorenzo Insigne is next up. 2 goals for him, including one absolute banger against Belgium. He's just a consistent performer. You know what you're getting with Lorenzo Insigne. He's always going to be a class act. Mostly because he'll just run through your legs. I don't understand how he's so small. And on the other side, Federico Chiesa, standout performer for me across the whole tournament. Same amount of goals, but his pace and dribbling ability are ridiculous. And his goal against Spain was equally as delightful as Insigne's against Belgium. Dani Olmo probably gets an honourable mention here as well with his 3 assists for Spain. They started off slow in this competition, but once they got going, it was usually through him. And Zuber as well for Switzerland got the most assists of anybody in the competition, so shouts out to him too. And then finally, we move to the strikers. There are some top quality names here, but also ones you wouldn't expect. You know, the quality ones, we start off with Cristiano Ronaldo, debatably one of the greatest footballers ever. The guy's won the Golden Boot. Ultimately, 5 goals. Every third shot he took in his tournament, he scored it. But in an underwhelming attack, everyone around him was playing awful. You know, Diogo Jota was shocking. Bruno didn't really have an effect. It was really down to him, and for me, he performed very, very well. Romelu Lukaku is another name as well you would expect to be doing well. 4 goals for him, but crucially 2 big missed chances, and one of those being against Italy, although I feel like he got a little bit unlucky there. And then for the names you wouldn't have expected come the start of the season, Patrick Schick of the Czech Republic. He's a clinical finisher and very good in the air as well. Once he stopped focusing on E-Boys content, he really was able to perform to a higher level. And then after that, another dark horse for me, Kasper Dolberg of Denmark. Obviously, Denmark impressed massively to get to the semi-finals in the first place, but Dolberg and his clinical finishing is one of the reasons for that. He has the best conversion rate of any striker in the competition, scoring 3 goals from just 7 shots. So on to my actual team, the starting 11, my best players of the whole tournament. We start in goal, and as much as I want to give this to Jordan Pickford for the fact that he's won the Golden Glove, for the fact that he's not conceded many goals, a lot of that does come down to the defense. He has made some crucial saves, do not get it twisted, but Gianluigi Donnarumma saving 2 penalties back-to-back in penalty shootouts and winning his country the Euros, it can't be overlooked. Jordan, I want to give it to you, but I'm gonna have to give it to Donnarumma. It is very close. On to right back, and you know what? I'm gonna create my first howler of this situation. I'm going to be a big man, all right? I don't play by the rules. I'm choosing a player who was in the left back bit. Listen, I know Spinazzola was one of the best players in this tournament before that Achilles injury that he got, and quite frankly, the quality of right backs is good here, but not as good as the quality of left backs. And given Spinazzola is a right-sided player, I'm gonna dash him at right back, which allows for the other side to be left back Luke Shaw, a bit more of a natural option there. Obviously, again, I know Spinazzola works really well on that left-hand side, but he's right-footed, and I want to have both of them in the team. So off you go, both of you. And the centre-back partnership in between them, I'm going to go for Slabhead himself, Harry Maguire. I think for me was the best defender at the tournament. We have to admit now that the season that he's just had is elite. And joining him, it's a bit of a toss-up really, but I think Leonardo Bonucci has just edged Chiellini, not just statistically, but of course scoring that all-important, crucial equalising goal in the final. Now moving into the midfield, there's a couple of very obvious options here for myself. First of all, Jorginho, who I think as a defensive midfielder has been genuinely world-class in this tournament. Another hard-working midfielder alongside him, and that is Pedri, who for me, as an 18-year-old, has been a standout performer here. I cannot believe how young, but how wise and mature he's played. He looks like the next Spanish midfielder, not the next Iniesta or the next Xavi. He's just the next Pedri. He has an identity of his own already. He's a hard worker, an intelligent footballer who always wants to be positive. And for me, he genuinely could be one of the best players in the world in the next 5 years. That's probably putting a lot too much pressure on him. But he's been brilliant in the tournament. You can't deny that. And I'm going to throw a wild card in for the final choice because I could put Verratti in. Verratti has been world class in the Euros. But I'm not hearing enough talk about my boy Emil Forsberg. And genuinely, 4 goals, great with the ball at his feet. So unfortunate not to have 5 or 6 goals based off that Ukraine game. Wingers wise, this is not too difficult. Raheem Sterling is a shoo-in into this team. I mean, again, as I said, he was England's best player. And on the other side, Federico Chiesa, I reckon, just about edges out Lorenzo Insigne, because I think Chiesa's great performances were slightly greater than Insigne's great performances. Which leaves us with a bit of a headache moving forward, because I think really it's a toss-up between 2 players. Patrick Schick, who has been an incredible breakout performer for a side that is nowhere near as good as the other teams in the competition, but has obviously played well, scored 5 goals and matched the other player here, Cristiano Ronaldo. I was gonna say I'm gonna give it to Ronaldo because statistically he's been better. But Patrick Schick has been doing this for the Czech Republic. And no offense to the Czech Republic, they're not as good a side as Portugal. So Patrick Schick, welcome to the team. I feel bad not including the official Golden Boot winner in the side as a striker. But it is basically a toss-up between himself and Schick, and they scored the same amount of goals. But that, I reckon, is going to wrap up the team then. So that's your 11. Let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. What would you have changed? Who would you have included? If there's anyone that I missed out, then let me know down in the comment section as well. But what a tournament. What a selection of players. If you enjoyed this one, slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.